Let's do it.
I love it, man. Hey, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for putting me on your stage.
Yeah, you bet, man. So let's begin our journey with 5 years ago, this pandemic changed everything, changed all of our lives. How did you make it through the pandemic, and how did it affect the way that you live life now in 2025?
And it's funny, I thought I was dead. I had a marketing agency, I had a Google Ads agency called Solutions 8. And a little known fact is I was trying to sell Solutions 8 at the time. And pandemic hits, and me and my business partner were like, all right, pack it in. This is it. The whole world's going to shut down. Business is going to shut down. Marketing's going to shut down. We're going to lose all our clients. Brush up the resume, break out the tin cup. It's over.
Yeah,
And we tripled in size, like almost overnight. And the thing that I didn't see coming was e-com ended up being, everybody's at home with nothing to do. And interestingly, a bunch of expendable income because the government's printing, 40% of the dollars that exist were printed in that 2-year epoch. And so everybody's cash flush. And so they start buying stuff, rehabbing houses, getting into hobbies. And my agency just explodes. Um, and I also, it was a multivariant situation because I also had an explosion of talent available to me. There were all these people that were staying home. People didn't want to go into the office. They started to, there was like this exodus away from big cities. And so I have access to all of this extraordinary talent. I end up getting just this massive influx in clients. We were the number one ranked Google Ads agency in the world. And I sold that agency in October of 2022. I had 60 unsolicited offers. And that was all because of the pandemic. Interestingly, the pandemic froze IPOs.
yeah,
So all of these companies that were going to go public didn't. All of these companies that were going to play the M&A game didn't. So mergers, roll-ups, all those things froze. And so you have these private equity, I don't know what to call them, satanic organizations, all of them, but you have these private equity groups that have raised all this money they have to deploy. Because private equity they don't make money when businesses make money.
yeah.
They make money when they spend, which is a weird, very non-symbiotic situation to be in if you're giving money to private equity. And I didn't know that at the time. So private equity raises all this money. All of the real bells of the ball are like, we're not playing until we see what happens. And so they go downstream. E-com is their target, or no, excuse me, SaaS is their core target. If they can't have SaaS, they'll take e-com, but SaaS and e-com aren't going to play the M&A game. And so I got 60 unsolicited offers because agencies kind of look like SaaS and e-com.
Yeah.
Recurring revenue components, you know what I mean? Distribution to clientele, not as much key man insurance, risk. And so I sell for an 8-figure sum of money, which is I'm rich now, which is great. Money's great. And it's all because of the pandemic. Like I hate to sound so predatory. I didn't realize that was going to happen. It's the best thing that happened in my life.
Sure.
Like explosion of clients, explosion of extraordinary talent, explosion of interest. So sold the agency in October 2022, and now I run around building businesses. And I have a portfolio of 17 different companies, all of which are to varying degrees profitable and or, equity earning, let's say. Um, and I'm having the most fun I've ever had in my entire life.
That's cool, man. So, if you were to explain what you do for a living on a daily basis to a bunch of 12-year-olds at career day, how would you do that?
I'd say that what a great way to frame that. What I tell people now when they ask, and I just started saying this might be 60 days old. If somebody says, what do you do for a living? I'd say, I build businesses. And if you'd say that to a 12-year-old, um, it's like building a Lego set, man. A business
Yeah,
is super simple, A business it's a cash in, cash out endeavor like anything else. We complexify it. But, I build Lego sets that make money. And I'm really good at having babies. I'm not very good at raising babies. And so what I do is I build the business and then I find somebody to run it and then I send them off. And it's like God bless, sink or swim, and then I do it again. Which isn't it's less than ideal. I would be far, far wealthier if I would discipline myself and actually stay somewhere and really drill and see how deep the well goes. And it just doesn't excite me. It doesn't
right.
motivate me. Like I don't need $1 billion. I want to have fun every day. And so I like starting new things, even if
Yeah.
it's not the most profitable approach.
But that's so admirable that you know where your place is. You know your voice. You know what you're good at. And that's what you do. Is that how did you figure that out? I mean, because you could technically keep drilling if you wanted to,
Yeah.
but you know what you're good at and you know what you want to do with this life.
Yeah, ish. It's funny, man. It's almost because I haven't figured it out yet. I love to kiss frogs and I love to play.
Yeah.
My hope, the people I envy are the people that can keep drilling. And I'll switch the analogy. The people I envy are the people that know they love to paint. I love to paint. I love to garden. I love to sculpt. I love woodworking. I love insert an endeavor here. It's Naval Ravikant said this. Naval Ravikant said, if you want to be happy, find the thing that you're willing to do for the sake of itself. Meaning nobody's paying you, nobody's asking you to do it. You don't have to get it done. You're just willing to do that thing. My ex-wife is a filmmaker, and she has a film that's probably going to go to the Cannes Film Festival that I helped produce. And hell or high water, she wants to make movies.
Yeah.
Rich or poor, she wants to make movies. Funded or not, she wants to make like she knows that, like it's just this thing that just happens, and
Hmm.
she wakes up thinking about it, and she goes to bed thinking about it. I don't have that yet,
Yeah.
and I actually think that that's probably the highest human endeavor is go find that thing, and I'll use a word that may be repellent to some people, but it's what resonates with me, and then they can replace it with whatever they want. Find the thing that God calls you to.
Hmm.
Like find the thing that inspires awe for you. And it can be obscure. Like I was just on the phone with my buddy Jeff Hayes, and he's a weird cat, dude. He made the real Anthony Fauci documentary and the real RFK documentary,
Yeah.
and he gets super interested in like really, really weird things. He was telling me yesterday he did a film about chiropractors. And he's like, I know more about chiropractors than most chiropractors do. And for I think a couple of years, it really fired him up. Like he was really, really interested in just this kind of, something that you and I probably don't think about very often. So
Yeah.
I'd love that. I'd love that, and I don't have it. So while I don't have it, it's really fun to like dip into a world, play in that ecosystem. I've got a business that buys and sells mobile home parks, which is a weird ultra niche. And then I have a business that helps people rank in ChatGPT, which is a weird ultra niche. And then I have my staffing agency, and I get to just sort of play and see how other people are playing. And that to me is kind of fun.
It's interesting. I've never been to a chiropractor, but I went one time with my wife, and hearing them explain what they were going to do, because there's this long-term plan on how they're going to realign you and fix things.
Yeah.
I got on this Podmatch platform that I'm on, and there's criterion that you pick. And literally 2 days ago, I picked chiropractor because I was like, how much fun would that be to
Yeah.
delve into that world and really find out how they roll? Because it is fascinating.
Oh, it's dude. Yeah, I've had a host of health issues for 20 years, all undiagnosed for most of it. Went through the Western medicine route, which is abysmal. Everybody's just trying to pump you full of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah,
The guy who saved my life was a chiropractor.
yeah,
He's a functional med chiropractor who did something called muscle testing, which when you see muscle testing, you think it's voodoo witchcraft. You're like, I don't know why I paid for this. I want my money back. And he's the only real diagnosis I ever got, which I was subsequently able to verify with testing.
yeah,
He holds these little vials against my chest and he pulls my arm down and he's like, "Oh, you should eat less corn and you're mildly allergic to potatoes and you have a vitamin D deficiency." And then all of a sudden, and the whole time I'm like, "There's no way you know that. This is garbage." And then he does it again and he goes, "Oh, you have mercury in your brain." And I'm like, "Dude, it's impossible
yeah,
for you to take this little vial, put it against my chest and tell me anything." But I go and I get mercury tested, and sure enough, I'm the most mercury toxic person the doctor's ever seen, and I'm able to attend. But it's because of this kind of, obscure, historically speaking, not very well respected modality
yeah.
that if you're willing to open your mind a little bit, and I think that's true with just about anything.
You're
Like
right.
all of our innate prejudices and feelings and thoughts, if we're willing to step off of them just a little bit, it really opens a horizon, like and there's I think a lot of solutions to be had on the other side of whatever it is that you might be dismissive of.
It's interesting. After all this time, I'm 52. I just went to Eureka Springs with my wife. We went for it was kind of our anniversary, and I remember I came back and I was thinking. My approach to travel has historically been like the afterlife. I'm not quite sure what's going on over there, but I'm going to go in with an open mind and I'm going to go for it and I'm
Yeah,
just going to have positive thoughts. So it's kind of like that. It's like just go in with the best intentions, you know?
yeah, I love that. I take, my travel's my favorite thing to do. It's such a refresh to your mind and your psyche and your spirit, and it's fun to go places that you don't even know exist,
Yeah,
Like Paris is fun, Rome is fun, like, you know what I mean? Like, and going to like, I was just in Nesso, which is a little teeny town north of Como on Lake Como in Italy, and we stayed in this Airbnb that you can't drive to because the roads are too narrow. And it was built over a waterfall. And then I walked up the Italian Alps on a road that you can't even bike up because it's basically a trail. And dude, it was just such a fun and rejuvenating experience to be in this place that I had no expectation of.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because if you go to Paris, you want to see the Eiffel Tower, but then when you
Uh-huh.
see it, you're like, oh, it's smaller than I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Rome and you want to see the Colosseum, and I was astounded by it. And it's like, oh, I've actually I got to see it better watching Gladiator than I get to see it here now. But then you go to Nesso, where you've never been, and you march up this trail that you've never been on and never expected. And what was cool about Nesso, and I don't know how or why this exists, I bet you one of your listeners knows, there were all of these shrines. I imagine they're Catholic. I'm not Catholic, so I don't know, but it looked like saints. But dude, they were like carved into the mountain. Like you're walking down this very remote, not populated area, and next thing you know, there's this little concrete, looks like a mini church with uh I assume a saint in there
Wow.
and well kept,
Yeah.
which means somebody's going in there and they're weeding and they're lighting the
Wow.
candles and they're doing the things. And even for somebody who doesn't share that faith, it was beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just this like really fun, like new exposure to something that I'll never understand, but still had like I still got to alchemize some value out of.
Yeah. That's totally cool. So let's go back to that 12-year-old realm in the classroom. What did you want to be at 12? What was your dream
Yeah.
gig?
I had a list. So I told people I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be an author, I wanted to be a professional hitman for the CIA. Uh, but from the very beginning, dude, I wanted to be a business owner.
Yeah.
I remember I was 7 years old and there was a gas station by my house. I backed the school. So we'd wrap the block in order to get to school. And on the way, you'd pass Lone Star, which is this little, very shitty, rundown gas station. When we walked into Lone Star, there was this half barrel full of candy, and you could buy candy for 5, 10 cents. I forget which. It was like, just a grab bag basically. And so I'd buy the candy for 10 cents, and then I'd go to school and I'd sell it for 25 cents.
Yep.
And my ideas haven't gotten much better, Joe, to be honest with you. But I mean, I thought I was a mogul. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And what was really funny about that experience is I remember my teacher finally saying, "You're not allowed to sell candy. It's against the rules." And the very next day, at least in my memory, it was the next day. Maybe it was a couple days later. She's got one of those PTA type boxes with all the lollipops sticking out where you could come and you could buy a lollipop. You put a quarter in the box and you get a lollipop. And I remember thinking like, the hell?
Yeah.
And so that was me learning capitalism within the confines of a regulated environment.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't paying my taxes, clearly.
What was it about your upbringing? Take me back to where you're born and raised. What gave you this entrepreneurial spirit, this
Oh, dude, I'm the
drive
poor
that you
kid.
have?
You look at so everybody that's self-made in my experience, and this is anecdotal and anecdotally true. If you don't mind a little hyperbole,
Sure.
everybody that's willing to do this started poor
Yeah.
because it hurts. If you don't start poor, dude, this is hard. I did 80 hours a week for 20 years. There's no reason to do that if your needs are met. I was raised by a blind single mother on Social Security disability in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're welfare babies, food insecurity. We always ate, but we didn't know we were going to be eating. My mom, God bless her, did the best job she could possibly do, but she's blind. She's a blind single mom. Me and my brother got in, as much trouble as a kid in that situation gets into. And I always knew I'd be happy when I had money. Like it was a paper chase. And as a young man, that manifested in very negative ways. I tried stealing cars. I was, petty thievery, crime. I got into trouble. It's what moved me out of Albuquerque, actually. Um, so entrepreneurship is one category away from criminality.
Yeah.
It's the same mentality. It's how do I get more for less?
Yeah.
And when you find a way to do it so that everybody wins, it's no longer how do I take more, it's how do I create more.
Yeah.
So there's a paradigm shift there, but the best criminals make the best entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
which has been my experience too. And money did not make me happy, interestingly, but it did make me feel safe.
Yeah.
And that was extraordinary, dude. Like that feeling. And the thing that everybody's always said is the more money I got, the more money I get.
Yeah.
Like I can't not make money. For the first 15 years of my entrepreneurial life, God, it was a slog. And I started from not just zero. I actually, when I was 20 years old, I went bankrupt. I didn't technically BK, but my house was foreclosed on, my car was repossessed. I was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And so I started my entrepreneurial career in this hole. And digging yourself out of the hole is actually a necessary prerequisite. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm so glad and grateful it happened early because I learned what money really is.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, poor kids. I worry about my kids. I hated rich kids, and then I had two of them. And now I got these two little rich boys, and we have a home helper, and we travel all the time. And I forgot where we were going. I took my kids to London on Norse Airlines, and Norse Airlines does this thing where they send you an email and they let you bid for first class. So I bid $100. I was like, it's $100. So for $300, me and my sons got to fly to London first class, which is amazing. And then this little prick goes, I forgot where we're going, but we're going to the airport. And he goes, "Are we flying first class?" And I was like, "No, we're not flying first class." And he goes, "Well, then I don't want to." And I was like, "Oh God, like I've made a horrible mistake." So I'm shopping right now. Actually, I'm shopping for property. I've done what I think is a lot of thought, uh, uh, the deep work, the analysis. The only rich kids I respect are agrarian. You think farmers, ranchers,
Yeah.
equestrians. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You have to go out and feed something. It's cold. There's a natural inbuilt hormesis in that lifestyle. Because dude, I live in Scottsdale right now, and I'm surrounded by the children of wealthy people.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're bad people. They're not at all. I wouldn't say that. But they have zero capacity for hardship. If anything goes wrong, they just disintegrate in front of your eyes. They melt.
Yeah.
Like the line at the grocery store is too long and they're just like, "Oh God," like
Yeah.
it's this class of human that is not going to survive
Yeah.
anything, and it's the fun cliche, hard times create tough men or good whatever. I want my sons because I'm not going to not give them money, and I want them raised in an environment where that doesn't poison them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, we'll go have a little farm and we'll have some horses and chickens and cows, and they'll get up and they'll be cold, and they'll be around people who know how to get up early and be cold.
Yeah.
And dude, I think that might be it. I think if you can get up early and you can stand the cold,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that
I dig it.
I hope that's about all it takes.
Yeah, that's it. So,
Yeah.
who's been your hero? Who's been your inspirational force to become, to help you evolve into who you are today?
Yeah, I've got a business mentor of 20 years. I met him when I was 19 years old. His name's Greg Smith. He wrote a book. He wrote a great book, if I can find it. It's on my bookshelf. It's called No Locked Doors. He was it's hard to put his role in my life into words. It's like a dad, like a big brother, like a business mentor, like a friend. He was 55 and I was 19, dude, and he just moved to Scottsdale. He ran the largest privately held bank. He's bought and sold 30 to 40 banks. Bought and sold Sun Country Airlines twice. He built the largest automotive fleet in the world. He's created $2 billion family fortunes for other people. Like really extraordinary human. And man, I just lucked out. I moved from Albuquerque. I'm this little wannabe thug ghetto kid who, got into enough trouble to where I was sent away, was sent to live with my dad. And one of my dad's friends introduced me to Greg and kind of told Greg, he's like, "Hey, this is who this kid is." And Greg had just moved here. His wife and kids were back in Minnesota. He sort of needed a project, I think, and he was bored, and he's just a genuinely good human. And man, I've had him every step of the way.
Wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
wonderful.
It's hard to call yourself self-made when you have, Batman on speed
Yeah.
dial.
Yeah.
Uh, but it just is what it is. I'm super grateful for him.
So, what has been that motivation for you every day to wake up and to continue to push yourself to be successful, yet obviously being cognizant of where you came from because you want to give your kids that? What has been that kind of spectrum that has allowed you to be successful and have a healthy soul?
Dude, I want a monument, to be honest with you. I don't know if this is healthy at all. I want to do something that matters. And I think we all do. I've noticed this. My friends with money, they all go one of two ways. They go cocaine and strippers, which, that's the pejorative way to look at it, but it doesn't have to be cocaine and strippers. It can just be like beach house and Mai Tais, but basically early retirement, right? It's a level of hedonism. It's just, I'm going to stop producing value and I'm just going to enjoy life. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, technically speaking. But I do think, as far as feeding your soul, even if you're like, dude, you can spend every single day with your wife and kids and, You go to church and you volunteer at the soup kitchen and but if you're not creating, if you're not producing, I don't think you're doing what you're supposed to be doing here. So that's route one.
Yeah.
Route two, like my friend Joe Polish, he's an extraordinary human. If you don't know Joe, he runs Genius Network. They call him the most connected man in the world. Joe's goal in life is to ease human suffering. And Joe's extraordinarily wealthy and extraordinarily successful, and he does not give a shit. And he's batshit insane in so many ways, like in the best ways. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
super eccentric and just and really weird and in these fun, quirky ways. And he everything he does is how do we ease human suffering? And so like, and that feels like a noble motive, you know, and who knows if he's doing it right or wrong? It's, you know, that's, I think for him to decide. But that's, I think once you get your base needs satiated, you know, I think Maslow's hierarchy of needs is more or less exactly right. It's like, you know what? I'm fed, I'm clothed, I'm sheltered, I'm safe, and now I want to help.
Yeah.
You know, now I want to make an, it's the reason we started our staffing agency. I take people in emerging nations and I give them more than they'd ever make domestically. I let them work on a semi-flexible schedule from home, which I think has anthropological significance. And then we match them with an entrepreneur who's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it's such a win-win, dude. It's
Yeah.
such a win-win. You know, you take
Yeah.
a person with no exposure opportunity and you introduce them to a person that really, really needs help and a motivated employee, which, you know, we in the Western world don't necessarily produce. And like, holy goodness gracious, it's very potent. And we mint money doing it. I'm not Mother Teresa. Like, we have very good margins and we're very profitable. And it's not a very scalable business. I'd make more money doing other things, but gosh, does it, you know, I get a message a week at least. You know, one guy just messaged me saying, I'm living in the first house I've ever lived in. And then he got to take a week off and tour with his band.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't get to do that when you're in an emerging nation without the social safety nets that we have here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I want to matter. And it's very egoic, like it's very selfish. I don't want to, you know, like when people are like, oh, I just want to give back. They don't realize how selfish that is. Because what's funny is if they really do the analysis, the question is, well, do you want people to be helped or do you want to help people?
Right.
And the answer is, I want to help people. I want to do it. You know, even if I'm not seen doing it, I want that feeling. And so that's more or less, that's been my motivation as of late.
So, of everything that you've done, accomplished, and more importantly, evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
My boys, I got
Yeah.
these two little kids, man. They're 8 and 10. He's my 10-year-old. He wants to be you should hear him rattle them off. He goes, I want to be a biologist and a roboticist and a physicist and a ecologist and a geologist and I forgot the last one. It's not astrologist. Whatever. Brilliant kid.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. He's so kind and gentle and empathic and loving. And then Ronan, my 8-year-old, he's a wrecking ball of demon hellfire bent on death and destruction. His name means little seal in Gaelic, and he's gonna be a Navy SEAL. Like there's nothing that can hurt this kid. And I can't tell you I've done a good job as a dad. I've done the best I can do.
Yeah.
You know, we have the rules of life. My kids, it's 6 minutes worth of prompt response Pavlovian indoctrination that my children can recite and have been able to recite since they were about 4. You know, I spend an unbelievable amount of time with them. Um, I've revolved my whole life around them, and I'm divorced, which, you know, is less than ideal, but it's offered actually this really interesting framework where because we're 1 week on, 1 week off, I get 1 week to really just engross myself in business, and then 1 week to set everything else on fire. I don't care. I'm gonna be with my boys.
Yeah.
And again, that's probably less than ideal, right? But it's just where I am right now, and so it's kind of allowed for a little bit in the way of the pendulum swinging. And they'll listen to this 20 years from now and they'll be like, he thought he was a good dad, you know, as he's in therapy and I'm paying the therapy bills, but I'm doing the best I can, man. And they're definitely what I'm most proud of.
I dig it. So, let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you: family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that you know, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm Forrest Gump with a nuke. Yeah. I think I've been successful in spite of myself, not because of my prowess. You know, I'm probably on the spectrum somewhere. And failure doesn't impact me the way it impacts other people. I don't know why. It just doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know, like something doesn't work. I'm like, oh, that didn't work. And other people are like, oh God, like I failed. It was me. I didn't. And I just doesn't. I can't. Like, I hate to dance. If I'm on the dance floor, I feel horribly stupid. You know, and I'm embarrassed, and I have all those feelings. So it's not that I'm immune to the feeling of embarrassment or shame, but in the confines of the business endeavor, man, can I just swing and miss and do not care?
Yeah, that's true entrepreneurial spirit. Hey, if anyone wants to delve in, they want to learn more, any of the good business in your world, where do they go?
Kasim.me, Kasim.me. I wrote a book. It's called Hire. It helps you find top talent. You can have the book for free. Go to Kasim.me and download it. And I appreciate you having me on, Joe.
Man, what a cool cat. Thank you, man. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. I love this. It's just, I just feel the revolutionary vibe and just knowing where you came from. What a breath of fresh air, man. Thank you. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, man.